seekers. Welcome to Inner Peace Better Health with Saima, where transformation starts within. Today, I'm joined by the radiant Yve Bowen, a transformational mindset coach, limiting belief liberator, and spiritual guide for anyone ready to meet their highest self. We are diving into truth bomb today. What's triggering you most might actually be your biggest gift and you. You should be. So, Eve, you say that triggers are gifts. How did you come to that powerful realization?
Uh, well, for being somebody who's very triggered herself very easily for most of her life. And so I had to learn to navigate those triggers. And the only way to navigate them was to really dive into them. And what I understood and what I learned over many years of study and learning many different spiritual paths and teachings and guidance and my own awareness and intuition that once you connect with those triggers, they have two layers. So there's the first surface layer, which is they are telling you about something in your life that is emotionally triggering to you and that you need to look at it in order to move through it and be able to respond rather than react. And then once you connect with that trigger on a deeper level, you uncover like a deeper wisdom. So an example might be you have a trigger that anytime somebody around you is lying, you really react strongly. You can sense it in your body. It's a real issue for you. And you don't know how to not react when you see somebody's lying. But once you go deeper into that trigger, it starts to give you information. And the information might be you are here to share the truth. You are here to know the truth. You are here to understand the truth. So this visceral emotion in your body, even though it looks like a psychological disturbance, is actually pointing you to your true path.
Mm-hmm. Can you recall a moment when trigger actually opened the door to your own healing?
Many, many moments. In fact, that example is my personal example. So whenever I was around people who were saying one thing, they were smiling, they were talking, they were acting in a certain way, but the energy coming off them was very different. So they were being emotionally disingenuous. They were being emotionally unaware. They weren't aware they were giving off two different energies. And so I would pick up the energy that was, this isn't real, something they're saying isn't right, it doesn't feel right in my body, I don't like this. And it would automatically trigger anger in me. And the other person would be like, what is she getting so upset about? And they would deny that what I was experiencing was the truth. And as life, that kept happening to me. And I couldn't understand why I was overreacting. But over time, I got to see that you were right. That person was not being emotionally honest. They were saying one thing and doing another thing. And then they were denying that's what they were doing. And the part of me that
Mm-hmm.
needed to know what was really true, what was really real about any situation, that was the part that was reacting and telling me, trust your instincts, trust your knowing, trust the deeper learning here. And so once I understood that, when I met people who were doing that, I no longer reacted in that way. I no longer felt triggered. I understood that they were on their own personal journey of learning to know themselves and be honest with themselves. And they needed to honor themselves. And it wasn't anything to do with me. It wasn't personal to me, but it was a really good way for me to identify whether that person was in integrity and whether they knew themselves deeply or not.
That's actually wild and so relatable. Most of us run from discomfort, but it sounds like that you're encouraging us to work toward it, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Trust yourself. If there's something in your gut, it doesn't have to be that kind of trigger. It could be anything. You're in a relationship and you're not sure if you're meant to be there or not, or somebody's treating you a certain way at work and it doesn't feel quite right, but they're not being blatantly horrible. Your body will give you signals. It will give you a feeling in your gut. It will give you your throat. You might find it difficultly speaking. You might feel something in your spine because you're just like, oh, something doesn't feel right. And you can't quite put
Mm-hmm.
your finger on it. Just trust yourself. Go within, go to that place where you're feeling that emotion and allow it, simply answer it to, what is this really about? Go to that space in your body, place your awareness on it and say, why am I feeling this? And listen and allow your
Mhm.
intuition to rise up. And it will either give you a word or an image or a sensation or even a whole sentence, depending on how you receive your information through your intuition, because we all receive it differently. And you will hear, it will either confirm, yes, that is absolutely right, or it will say, actually, that person's absolutely fine, but maybe they're reminding you of somebody from your past who treated you badly. So you can start to
Absolutely.
trust your intuition and your awareness and your gut feelings in that way.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you differentiate between a trigger that needs healing versus one that's just not aligned with us anymore?
Mm. The ones that aren't aligned with us, they might keep coming up. That's a brilliant question. Thank you. The ones that aren't aligned usually have been there for a very long time and you're ready to let them go. And so they'll, if you're not taking on that lesson and you're clinging on to this identity that you're the person who gets triggered by this thing when it's ready to go, you'll keep encountering situations frequently that trigger you. Like over and over again in a matter of days, hours, weeks, you'll keep feeling this feeling and you'll keep ignoring it until it gets worse and worse. So suppose you had issues with money and this triggered you whenever you ran out of money, but you're ready to up level, you're ready to move on in your life. You might start to have multiple bills come in all at once and you're triggered immediately. And then the washing machine might break down. And then you might meet somebody who tries to scam you or something like that, where you're not paying attention, but it's ready to go. And when you see that, instead of despairing and why is this happening to me? And oh God, it is a sign that it's ready to go. It's saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time to react differently to this now. And so you can tell that it's different because of the insistence and the urgency and things escalating quite quickly. And what it's asking you to do is stop, relax. These things are coming in for a reason. It's asking you to make a new choice. It's asking you to look at it differently. It's asking you to explore why a lack of money is triggering you in this particular way so you can release it. And you will feel that sensation once you go, okay, I can't do anything about it. This is a situation. It is what it is. I'm accepting what is here right now. What is it I'm meant to learn? And in the same way, that information will come up. Whereas if it's just a general trigger that lots of people have. They don't like rude people. They don't like people who are different from them. They don't like people who are gay. They don't like people who are different religion. That is your personal journey. That's just everything everybody experiences, where you're either being asked to accept that people are different from you and you can't control that, or to look into why you feel the way you do. And maybe it's because your parents handed down their values to you, or your religion handed down its values to you. But what if that's not somebody else's religion? Do you have the right to impose these things on them? And if you feel you do, can you accept yourself for feeling that way? Can you be kind to yourself for being that way? So you don't feel the need to go out and attack people who are different from you. There are more general, universal triggers, but the ones specific to you that are ready to let go and be healed and be dropped, they come thick and fast as a way to say it's time now, move on.
That's a game changer. Imagine that, how different life would be if we stopped labeling every discomfort as bad.
Yes. And I think the other
Mm-hmm.
thing that I would like to say, Simon, is people are afraid of uncomfortable feelings. They're afraid of uncomfortable emotions. So if they're feeling sad, depressed, angry, frustrated, anxiety, they run from those emotions. They'll try to do anything they can to not have to feel them too deeply. And the running away from those emotions usually means that you're going to mask those emotions with some activity. Either you're going to be someone who's super busy, never gives themselves time to sit down, always on to the next thing, because then you don't have to think, or you're going to drink your way through it, or you're going to eat your way through it, or you're going to shop your way through it, or you're going to create drama in your relationships. Anything that means that you don't have to feel the feeling. And the beauty of emotions are they are all valuable. They all have the capacity to heal you deeply. And the ones that you feel most painful are the ones you need to be able to just sit and say, because what I teach in my coaching practice is you need these three um, levels. You need self-love, you need self-awareness, and you need self-forgiveness. And the self-love means that you are willing to do the work that allow you to heal, to allow you to live a life that feels good to you, to allow you to have good people around you. The self-awareness looks at who am I? Why do I think the way I do? Why do I act the way I do? I need to know and get to know myself. And the self-forgiveness is I'm willing to look at and feel anything in me that feels uncomfortable because I deserve to feel good. And when you go into that triad with those three elements, what happens is, and that's what I do with my clients a lot, that I will say something to them about, I don't know, you talk about your relationships or your partner in this way, and you keep using the same words over and over again, and your body tenses up. And what's that about? And I say, tell me the first time you felt like that. And they think there's nothing that's going to come up. But because I keep working with them and cultivating their awareness, a memory will come up. And it might be something as simple as when I was 4, my father, I took him, I showed my picture to him, or I showed a drawing to him, and I was so proud, and he just looked at it and threw it in the bin. And so every time their partner, for example, in this example, disregards them or ignores them, it brings up that feeling of feeling rejection, feeling anxiety, feeling not loved,
Mhm.
and their partner has no idea what's going on.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you see what I'm
Mm.
saying? So it's so amazing that once they feel that, it's no longer a painful emotion. It's a logical emotion. Ah, I get why I feel that. So all emotions,
Mm.
once you find the truth and the source of them, they then become very, very logical and stop being painful.
I completely agree with that, Eve.
That's good.
So, what role does self forgiveness play in transforming like
Oh, it's so
triggers into
important.
breakthrough?
Mm. Self-forgiveness is the thing that people struggle with the most. People spend a lot of time attacking themselves, beating themselves up, being hard on themselves, trying to prove themselves to other people. And what we are here to do as sentient spiritual beings is to know that who we are is not what we own, is not what size we are, is not how pretty we are, is not how much we're lauded and applauded by society. It's not how much we earn. It's not how much approval we can get from others. Who we are innately lovable beings. And in order to feel that you are an innately lovable being, that you have to do nothing to be worthy, you are worthy simply by being born. You are a precious jewel. You learn that by forgiving anything that you've ever judged yourself for, anything you've ever put yourself down for, anything anyone else has ever put you down for. It allows you to really begin to blossom and to act from a place of I want to take action because I'm curious about this thing. I want to try this career because it's an interesting thing to do. I'm passionate about it. I want to go to this thing because something in me just really wants to experience something new and different and fun. It doesn't have labels of you need to do this to be seen as a good person attached to it. And so the self-forgiveness allows you to feel any uncomfortable feelings, look at your self-doubt, look at your insecurities, look at your fears with love, with appreciation, and say, thank you. I appreciate you. I know you're trying to teach me something. I'm willing to listen so I can learn and grow.
Mm-hmm. You know, so many of us actually carry silent guilt and shame, and really makes sense that clearing that would free up space and inner peace.
Mm-hmm. It does clear up space, and it also gives you a lot of energy. Because imagine you're holding all this tension of something that happened 5, 10, 15, 20, some people 50 years ago. And you've been carrying it around in your body all that time and not being willing to look at that feeling of guilt with a peaceful, clear, relaxed, gentle, loving eye. And so it's actually a drain on your energy resource. And so an example would be with a client that I might work with who has things that they need to do to achieve something in their businesses or in their
Mm-hmm.
career. And they find it really hard to do that thing. They feel drained. They got no energy. They don't feel motivated. They don't know what's going on. Once we understand what the root issue is for that person, then we go into that energy and we do what I spoke about earlier, have this conversation about where did this originate and how does that arise and how often does it happen, and get to the root and the origin of it. What we do is we free up that energy in the body. There's something in the body that relaxes the minute this thing is identified. I feel guilty because I think I should be more like my mother wanted me to be, or my father wanted me to be. And I don't want to feel like a failure because I don't want to let them down. These are examples, right? And once you get to the root of, you're not doing this to punish your father, you're not doing this to punish your mother and father will love you no matter what. They may not express it in the way that you can receive it all the time. They might be a bit stern, they might be a bit judgmental, but they are not you. You are on your own personal journey. Honor your mother, honor your father, but honor yourself. And once you start to let that energy free, it frees up energy to do more and more things. So somebody was struggling, for example, to write the article, to go to that networking event, to do the marketing, to do the thing that they needed to do, now feel energized. They now feel like I've got so much energy. So on so many levels, looking at what the things that make us guilty and the things we put ourselves down for and we feel shameful about, especially shameful when things have been done to you, like physical, emotional, sexual abuse, for example. Feeling that guilt and feeling that shame and carrying it around and holding it as a burden, that will drain a lot of your energy. So going into those places in a safe way, whether with a coach or a therapist of some kind, and allowing yourself to process those emotions and release the guilt and shame that has nothing to do with you. It happened to you. It isn't you. You didn't cause it. It's not your fault. And forgive yourself for carrying this as a burden. Frees up a lot of energy and brings a lot of peace.
That completely makes sense, Eve. Now, you work with clients to break limiting beliefs, right? So, what's one belief you see most often keeping people stuck?
Do you know, there are core beliefs that most people have, like you were saying about guilt and shame. But generally, it's the main feeling is unworthiness and a feeling of not being good enough to achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve. So you can have somebody who's earning £1 million a year and are very, very successful. And from the outside, they look like they've got everything that we all want. They've got it all together. But inside, there's a deep feeling of insecurity and about not being enough. So even though they got to million, they're trying to get to 5 million or 10 million or 20 million, and it's never enough. It doesn't matter how much money they make. They're trying to fill up this insecurity within themselves that says, I'm good enough now. I'm good enough now. And this money, because society values money so highly, they think if they pursue money and be successful, then that hole in their stomach, that knot in their gut, that hole in their heart will fill up and they'll be fine. And they will discover that they're never going to be fine because they're not looking at the root cause. So even people who are driven and highly successful, and we applaud them, we're almost making it addictive for them to run away from the root cause of the issue because we're all looking at them, applauding them. How did you do it? How did you get so rich? How did you get there? And inside they're a puddle of mess just trying to feel good about
Mm-hmm.
themselves. So it's based on the individual. And but the root cause is still a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of not being loved, a feeling of not being valued. And then you can have somebody on the other end of the scale who is intelligent, talented, vibrant, authentic, and they can't see that about themselves. And so they will leave themselves stuck in a dead end job for years. Because every time something in them arises that says, oh, you could be so good at this, and have you tried this, and this is where life is calling you to go, they won't listen to it. Oh, it's just a silly thought. What's the point? I'll never get there. I'm not good enough for that sort of thing. So from extremes like that and everything in the middle, the root cause is a feeling of not being good enough, not being loved, not being valuable, based on whatever experiences they had growing up.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you actually, help them replace it with something empowering?
Well, as I said, the process that I go through in the limiting belief sessions, where they come specifically to clear limiting beliefs, is I will do something like the example I gave before about a money situation. And so I have clients who are sort of quite successful, not sort of millionaires. Some of them are um, successful in their businesses. But every time they're ready to level up to a new level, there might be something that comes up. And so when they're talking to me about a goal they have, and I can hear when they're talking to me, I'll say, do you really believe that that's possible? There's something in the way they're talking, speaking to me that is alerting me to me that there isn't a clean energy in what they're saying. And they say, no, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. And their voice goes higher. And I say, well, let's just have a little look. I go, so where do you feel that? Picture yourself achieving that goal in your body and tell me if there's anything in there that feels like, oh, that's not true. That's not real. And they will feel it,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they point me to that feeling, then I go in there and I have a conversation with that part of them. And it's usually very revelatory to that person. So a good example was a lady who called herself anxious all the time, and she was always anxious about everything. I said, I think that's not the real truth. Let's ask this in your body. What does it say you are? It says I'm a kick-ass badass. And I'm pretending to be anxious because I'm too scared to grow into this thing because I think people might not like me if I'm too powerful. And she was like shocked. It was a complete opposite of how she was presenting herself. And so getting to that place of understanding that even the things that we think are really, really real, when we go to the root of it, it's not always a negative. It can sometimes be something in you is telling you that you are amazing, magnificent, wonderful, and you won't receive it because you don't want to overshadow somebody or outshine somebody because you think that's not a very nice person thing to do. So it can be so layered and so complex, but we get to the root of it by investigation and helping them to cultivate awareness and intuition, self-love, self-awareness, and self-forgiveness.
Yes. Belief is everything. The story we, tell ourselves becomes the life we live in it, right?
Hmm. It does. And the story we tell ourselves can also be, am I telling my own story? Or am I telling my parents' story? Am I telling my peers' story? Am I telling my culture story? Am I telling my country story? Do I even know what I want? Have I just been following all these things I'm supposed to want? And I don't even really know myself. So belief comes from many levels, many sources, multimedia, as I said, your family, your friends, your school, your government, your country. And in order to really know who you are and what you truly believe about life, you're going to have to be willing to put all those other things aside and just answer yourself the question, but who am I? Who am I? Not who other people tell me I am, not who other people tell me I should be. I need to know me. I need to cultivate this awareness because I am a child of life. I'm a child of the universe. I'm a child of God. And I am uniquely me. I can only be uniquely me. So we must be willing to be brave enough to go against some of those things we've been blindly conditioned to believe, to understand what we truly believe and what's good for us to do with our lives in a way that honors other people, but truly honors our unique journey.
That's noteworthy. And to everyone, maybe it's time to stop avoiding and start exploring. Your piece is waiting. And if today's conversation stirred something in you, let it. Healing doesn't begin when life gets quiet, it begins when life gets curious.
I
Thank
love
you, Eve,
that.
that our triggers aren't threats, they're treasures map. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and ride those healthy waves.
Beautiful. Thank you,
Mhm.
Simon.
You're warmly welcome, Eve. Your soul is in bloom. Keep spreading your light and wisdom, and
Could I just share my
back to the
website
show.
with people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
if you go to youdeservealifeyoulove.com, you'll be able to download a free report on is your life being run by your limiting beliefs? And I'd love to have you there.